Welcome to our session on tools and resources for onboarding low literacy users to digital financial services. Thanks to BRAC's Frugal Innovation Forum team for giving us the opportunity to share learnings from her project. I'm Smita from BSR HerProject team, and I will share the insights from our program, Her Finance Digital, which is supported by Gates Foundation, that we started in Bangladesh in 2015. So we have supported 150,000 women and men garment workers at 70 factories to digitize their payroll and provided financial capability training to them. So this session is 30 minutes long, and first 20 minutes is my presentation, and in the last 10 minutes, we will answer your questions. So please use the chat box to post your comments, feedback, or any question you may have on the presentation. The question is, what is the main challenge low literacy users face to use accounts? So, and the answer options are knowledge. First one is knowledge. They don't know how to use an account. Second one can be the confidence issue, like scared of making a mistake. Third one is lack of resources, sort of what's needed to operate an account. Fourth one is time. They have limited time to visit ATMs or agents or learn how to use accounts. And last one is having control over using the account. So these are the five challenges that low literacy users might face. But to you, our question is, what is the main challenge according to you that you think is the main one? I think answers are coming, which is great. 54% of our audience thinks that it's knowledge. The issue is with the knowledge. 18% said confidence, lack of confidence, and 9% is lack of time. So yes, so great. Thank you everyone for answering the poll question. So actually that will take us to our next discussion. So I would like to ask the BRAC team to change the slide, like we can move on. Yeah, the next one. Okay, so what are the barriers that we have seen in our program that we have identified that women and men workers face to access and use their accounts? So in this slide, we have sort of summarized the barriers. I think many of you might relate to these barriers if you are working on a financial inclusion program. So we have seen that there are four main issues that workers like RMG workers, especially women, face. First one is women are less likely than men to have the resources needed to open and use accounts. In Bangladesh, there is a 29 percentage point gender gap in financial inclusion, in financial account ownership. And women are also more likely to have feature phones. They don't have registered SIM cards, so they use others' phones or SIM, which makes it very difficult for them to access the financial services such as mobile money. Second barrier is issues with the financial capability. So women have less experience and confidence than men in using digital financial services. That is what we have seen among the RMG workers in Bangladesh. And in general, among the RMG workers, only 36% female workers have completed their secondary level education or above. This lack of access to education also influences women's confidence to use their accounts properly. They also face fraud calls, becomes a victim of it, and so they face greater risks than their male counterparts. Third barrier is women workers' time constraints that you guys already identified. So after spending 10 to 12 hours at the factories, female workers also have to complete all the household chores that men don't usually have to do. So women don't find time to visit ATMs or cash out points or conduct transactions. Therefore, they rely on others for transactions and share their PIN numbers with others too. And the last barrier women face is having control over their accounts and wages. So female workers are often expected to hand over part or all of their earnings to family members and typically do not participate in making decisions about how their wages will be spent, even though the account is in her name, but often it is controlled by their spouses or family members. So yes, enough of the barriers. Now we can go to the next slide and talk about some positive impact of the program. So requesting BRAC team, can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So, however, our program, Her Finance, has seen positive impact for female and male workers. The program increased their financial inclusion. For example, they became active users of their accounts, with women conducting around 8 transactions a month and men 13 transactions. Workers were only withdrawing their money when they need it. They are using their accounts to send money to their families and topping up their mobile phones. It also increased their financial resilience. 1 in 5 workers, both female and male, started saving regularly. Budgeting skills also helped them to stretch their monies further. Our program also increased women's control over their wages. 1 in 5 women reported making joint financial decisions in the family. So it is really important to note that these results would not be seen by wage digitization alone, but from financial capability training. Next slide, please. Okay, so I wanted to share a story from our program. Since we have worked with more than 150,000 male and female workers since 2015, so there are a lot of stories to share, but we don't have time for that. So I just wanted to share a story from one of our Dhaka factory, and this is Pushpa, and who I met in 2019, I think. When she was paid in cash, Pushpa didn't, feel safe on a payday, and would often take a rickshaw home instead of walking during the payday. So it increased her cost of, traveling to the home, because she was getting paid in cash and she didn't want to risk it by walking alone on the street with the cash. So um, when she sent money to her family, again, that was another problem. She had to go to an agent shop and join a queue surrounded by men, which made her feel very uncomfortable. Sometimes she received disturbing calls at night afterwards if one of the men had overheard her sharing her phone number with the agent. This isn't a problem now, because she can send money through her mobile money account. She also opened a savings account, and she's saving towards buying a land in her village, on which she wants to build a house for her family. Pushpa said that the training really helped her. She didn't know how to use an account before, and she had been really worried about the transition as well. But now she's telling her friends, families, colleagues, and sisters about the benefits of the mobile money account and help them to open accounts as well. So, next slide, please. Yes, so now we will share, like I will share with you about our approach to support the workers. How did we do that? So we have developed a variety of ways to provide support. First of all, at the factories, we select 5% of the workers as peer educators who received training directly from our implementing partner NGO trainers, and the peer educators shared their learnings with their colleagues. So Pushpa was one of our peer educators at a factory. We have built the capacity of the managers and even financial service providers to support the workers. In terms of tools, we have created posters, songs, and videos to reiterate the messages. We actually made sure that we continuously learn and improve our materials and modules. For example, in the middle of the program, we conducted a gender assessment of the project, where with the support from a external gender expert, we interviewed female and male workers to understand their barriers more closely and evaluate how our program is addressing those and how can we do better. Based on the findings, we reviewed our curriculum and added activities and topics to better address gender barriers in access to finance or access to accounts. We have arranged time for the workers so that they can practice how to use their accounts and become confident. So I will share actually 4 more slides with all of you, which are basically the snapshots of different resources that we have developed in our program for the workers, which are absolutely obviously available on her project website and open for anyone to use. So we can go to the next slide. Thank you. So this slide shows all the 6 training modules that we use for the peer educators training. Women and men workers participate in the sessions. In the first 2 modules, we cover the basics of opening accounts and how to use them, what are the products and services available, for any questions where they should go, how to avoid fraud calls, and how to use their accounts safely. The modules on financial planning and budgeting covers the importance of planning and making the plan together with the family members, and how to do financial planning and budgeting, track expenses, set goals with family, etc. The last two modules on savings and talking about finance with family focuses on importance of savings, how to increase savings, why to save, how to communicate with family members, and discuss financial matters with family. So these are the 6 modules that we use during our program to train the workers, especially peer educators, and then peer educators train others, like disseminate the information among their colleagues and in their families and friends. So we can go to the next slide. So this slide is all about digital learning materials and tech tools. So we worked with Mastercard Center for Inclusive Growth and QuizRR to digitize our modules. All the 6 modules that I just discussed, we worked with them to digitize this. This was developed to be used as a blended learning approach. The aim was to develop financial and digital literacy for the workers, especially women. This gamified tech learning tool uses engaging films, quizzes, and animations to support workers to increase their financial health and benefit from digital wages. So feedback from the workers on the tools are very positive. However, female workers were not comfortable to engage the tech tool in the beginning, and they did not want to touch the tablet screen, for example. But over time, they became comfortable and was very excited to use it. Next slide. We have developed a series of animations and films as part of the tech tool development. These are based on the HerFinance curriculum. The characters of the films are very relatable to the garment workers. These are available on HerProject YouTube channel. We have developed them in several languages, including Bangla. So now, if possible, we will watch some parts of one animation and one film
তাই পিন কোডের ব্যাপারে
for
খুব
couple of
সতর্ক
seconds. Not the whole video. We don't need to bore you with the entire video, but it's just the snapshot. So I think 5 seconds or 10 seconds will be enough.
পিন কোড হচ্ছে আপনার অ্যাকাউন্টে ঢোকার চাবি, তাই পিন কোডের ব্যাপারে খুব সতর্ক থাকা প্রয়োজন। আপনার পিন কোড কখনোই কাউকে জানাবেন না, এমনকি ব্যাংকের কোনো কর্মচারী, এটিএম বুথের গার্ড, এজেন্টকে, এমনকি আপনার পরিবারের কাউকেও না। কখনো ব্যাংকের কর্মচারী, এটিএম বুথের গার্ড বা অন্য কাউকে আপনার পিন কোড সেট বা তৈরি করতে দেবেন না। আপনি কখনোই আপনার পিন কোড এসএমএস করে কাউকে পাঠাবেন না।
So this was the animation, which was very informative, and then we produced a bunch of films that has real life characters, not real life, I mean very similar to real life characters, like especially in a garment industry settings. So can we watch one film like for 5 seconds or so?
শাবানা, আমার ভাগ্য বলো তোরা আমি পাইছি। অক্ষণ আমার বোন ফোন দিছে আমার পোলাটা, আমি এখন কি করবো? আমার অক্ষণই বাড়ি যাইতে হইব।
আরে খালা আস্তে আস্তে দম নাও, বহো।
So yes, so these were some glimpses of the animation and film. So like this, we have developed more on different topics which are available on YouTube. In addition to this, we produced a audio song, which is also available on our YouTube channel. The song has information about digital financial services, then savings, joint decision making, etc. So we can go to the next slide. Last but not the least is our posters. We have developed 6 posters during the lockdown, which are posted in several corners of the factory so that workers can see them. Peer educators also use these for information dissemination. So also last year, we developed a set of posters with A2I program for their Financial Literacy Week campaign, where the posters were used by all the Union Digital Centers in Bangladesh to aware their clients, largely women, on digital financial services, savings, budgeting, etc. So next slide. Well, so this is my last slide, or the final slide for today's presentation. I wanted to share some tips with the audience on how can we ensure active participation of women in the training. So we might think that if we increase the number of women in the training, that's enough. but that is not. So that is sort of the presence, but the participation or the active participation is to a completely different level. So even in the RMG setting, we faced actually difficulties or challenges to make sure that women participate in the financial literacy training or in the digital literacy programs, because there is an inertia or a lack of sort of confidence to be engaged in such topics. They find it difficult and daunting, and sometimes it's sort of like it's not their role to understand these technologies specifically. So what we did is like on the basis of what we have seen on the ground, we have come up with some tips, like very simple. So first one is like ensure that financial capability trainings and materials are tailored for female workers. Train your trainers. They sometimes can be gender blind. It's possible. We have seen that, experienced it in our program. And also provide like real life examples and tips, and share testimonies from other peer educators to encourage them that if they can if they can be successful, you can as well. So include male workers obviously in the financial capability training so that they can also benefit, but make sure that women are encouraged and supported to actively contribute. So consider using a single sex groups for training activities, such as using tech tools so that women have an opportunity to actively participate. Provide safe spaces where female workers can understand and practice account uses, including ATM operation, visiting agents, and checking messages on their phones. So that's sort of all from me. So I am at the end of my presentation. We can go to the next slide. So thank you all for listening. Please post your questions, comments, or any feedback, or if you have any deep experience working in financial inclusion programs, maybe in the RMG sector, then please write your experience as well in the chat box. And if there is any specific questions on the tools and resources that I have shared or on our program, I will try to answer them in next 5 minutes. So yeah, thank you. So I think, yeah, there is one question. So question, it says, one second, let me. How to be aware of gender plays a part in the designing process. So if I am understanding the question properly, like during the design, how gender plays a part. Of course, like from the very beginning, yeah, so from the very beginning, gender plays a part. I mean, usually, so we can, I can say about our experience in the program. So our program has female and male workers both. And from the very beginning, we had to think about these two different groups and take their needs into the consideration. So because if we don't do the separate need assessment for two genders or different genders, then we won't be able to really address their problems or challenges that are specific to that gender. And it's very much true for the female workers, or for the group of women actually. As I was sharing throughout my presentation, like how we have addressed these gender issues from the very beginning, and also we did a mid assessment as well. We had like small sessions, separate sessions after large town hall meetings with the women. So in the design, we try to put these things in different places. So that's why definitely from the very beginning, gender needs to be incorporated in the modules. So I think we have one more comment. So Arshi Ahmed is saying, like, would love to know a bit more about your experience in regards to the gender blind situations you faced. A great question. Thank you, Arshi. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. I'm not sure. So basically, the main challenge of our program was convincing factory management and also workers that wage digitization is a good thing. So it can help you. It's a positive thing. So that's why from the very beginning, main focus was that. And then when we could convince people like this can bring positive results, then we got into the training part where we tried to build the financial capability of the workers. So what we have faced is that when there is a module that has that is saying like and probably there is an activity in the module that says that, for the trainers, that says that teach like demonstrate how to use mobile money. Simple, right? So trainer, if she or he do not have the background or the knowledge or the knowledge that there is a difference between doing this activity with the group of women and men, then it's a problem, because men will tell you like, I know how to use the mobile money account, whereas female workers will be very quiet and shy and maybe is not really interacting. So in situations where there is a time pressure from the production management that you have to finish the training very fast, then sometimes we have seen that trainers are just going fast forward and teaching the mobile money service every services, but not in a manner that is customized for women. So because they need more support, they need more time, and it becomes difficult to do that in a factory setting where production is everything. So, and you are bringing people out of the production line, making them sit in a room and then conducting those activities. This is just one example. Then for the tech tool, for example, in the tech tool sessions where participants needs to click on the different answers and navigate a screen like a smartphone or a tablet screen, if you put female and male workers together, you'll see only male is sort of interacting with the tablets, but female workers are not really touching it. So if you as a trainer don't become sort of I don't know, active, or if you don't uh, know, like, you have to engage, make sure that that single person also needs to be engaged. She's not touching, they are giving answers, everything is happening, but maybe 2-3 women sitting in the same group is not really interacting with the tablet or interacting with the device at all. So in these are the few small situations that we have observed and had to make sure that it's really the quality assurance piece. So I think there is one more question, so thank you for these questions. Where can we find the IEC print and audio-visual materials? So I think my colleague Charlotte shared the link already in the comments. So you can go to her project website, just type in herproject.org and go to the resources section, like Her Finance Digital Wages Hub. There is a digital wages hub in the website, and you can just find those resources over there. And on YouTube, just type Her Project channel and you will see all the everything over there. So it's quite public. Okay, so I think there is one last question. I will take it and then we have to close the session because we are at time. And that says, what have you learned about the retention of lessons after training or onboarding? How can we reinforce the learning? Excellent question. So reinforcing is everything. That's why we had to develop all these resources. That is the only reason that we had to develop everything. So we used not only the peer education training, we had refresher trainings. After each of this, every month, there is 1 month, there is main topic training. Second month, there is a refresher training. So this way, the entire training is for 6 months. And other than that, there are audiovisuals, IEC materials, those are used throughout the factory settings and also provided as a handout to the workers so that they sort of understand and remember. Another thing is that, all our trainings are very participatory. So during the budgeting exercise, it's really like making sure that the participant is coming and making his or her own budget. So when people do things, they remember things better. Like when it's only lecture, people really don't remember. And after the program, we have encouraged factories to play those songs and use the audio visuals. Also continue using those posters and continue the training program. So yeah, I guess that's all for for today's session. I think there are more questions that are coming. My colleagues are there. I guess Kamrul and Charlotte, you are there already. So there are, I guess, some specific questions as well that you will be able to help to answer. But that's it from my end. I guess thank you, everyone. And thanks so much again to the BRAC team for giving me the opportunity to share our program insights and learnings. So very nice to be here. Thank you. Bye-bye.